Now at 5, we are tracking strong to severe thunderstorms rolling through the region.
Plus, the city of Pittsburgh is now in charge of the Stillwell Apartments elevator, which has been broken for months. And it's been 50 years since Big Brutus was retired. We're going to see how it's being celebrated.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, we had a little break, but the severe weather is back in our area. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy.
Yeah, our last round of severe weather was our northern counties on Sunday night, and then now we're at it once again. All the counties highlighted in purple. This is showing us a tornado watch. Good news here is our severe threat here in about 2 hours. 3 hours is pretty much gone, but we have to watch it over the next 2 to 3 hours. Severe thunderstorm warning, northern parts of Vernon County, sliver of Bourbon, Lebec County are our 2 warnings at this point in time. But look at this line just blossoming across the region, but it's going to push east very quickly through the area. But with these storms, we have the potential for very strong winds and large hail. You can see a severe thunderstorm warning, Lebec County now rolling into Cherokee County, a strong storm in Crawford County, still a severe thunderstorm in Vernon County. But we do have the threat for all types of severe weather as we go through the evening. So large hail, gusty winds, and a few of these guys may rotate. So we want to watch it as they push into southwestern Missouri because they will start to intensify over the next hour or 2. But again, severe threat's going to be gone by 7:30 or 8 p.m. We're going to have a lot more on this here in just a bit.
We'll catch you then. Thanks, Doug. The elevator in the Stillwell Apartments in Pittsburgh is still out of service. According to the tenants of that 4-story building, the elevator has not been working since February. The building is operated by a nonprofit board. In April, the city of Pittsburgh stepped in to help the Stillwell Apartments repair the elevator. According to the city manager, repairs are held up now due to shipping delays of a new elevator motor.
It's not a city building. The city just stepped in and is trying to help out because it's tough for the Stillwell board to get some stuff like this done. They don't deal with elevators very often, and when they do, obviously, it's a problem for them. So we've been trying to help out.
The estimated cost for the city to fix that elevator is $30,000. Big Brutus is celebrating its 50th retirement anniversary this year. The largest electric shovel in the world offers visitors the chance to travel back in time and dig into the history of mining. Retired miners are looking forward to this year's festival next month, a chance to revive their memories.
As a farm boy, it was the best job I've ever had since even.
I can pretty well bet that they haven't seen anything like this in their life, but it's standing still. You can take a look at it, and it's a lot easier to access than when it was running.
Big Brutus Annual Fest is going to happen on June 1st from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Arvest Bank is once again trying to raise money to fund 1 million meals for local residents in need. The campaign is nearly over. It runs through the end of May. Donations to the campaign benefit 85 community food partners in Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Locally, those partners include Bright Futures in Joplin, Carl Junction in Carthage, the Good Samaritan Shop in Lamar, the Monette Community Kitchen, and the Newton County Food Basket Brigade.
So food banks report that in the summer times they have more of a greater need and there's less donations. And so we typically do the campaign in April and May. We ask our customers for donations and kind of collect as much as we can throughout our campaign.
Officials say every dollar raised provides 5 meals for hungry families. President Biden announced a milestone, 1 million claims approved under the Honoring Our Pact Act he signed into law nearly 2 years ago. The bipartisan legislation aims to expand and accelerate health benefits to veterans suffering from illness linked to toxic exposure. Natalie Brand has a look at how the law is working.
President Biden says for him, it's personal. His own son, Bo, who served in Iraq, died of brain cancer at age 46.
I determined that come hell or high water, we're going to protect the heroes and protect our nation.
The VA says it's received more than 1.6 million PACT Act-related claims and urges veterans who may have been denied benefits before the law was signed to contact them or reapply.
For too long, too many vets who got sick while fighting for our country then had to fight for their health care and their benefits too.
Roger Pinto served in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I've had a lot of issues with gastrointestinal issues. Essentially, my esophagus has a stricture, so it is closed due to scar tissue.
He submitted his claim last August and is hopeful it gets approved.
Do you think that the PACT Act is, working as it should at this point?
I do think the PACT Act is working as it should. There's a massive increase in veterans that have access to health care through the VA.
The VA says the approval rate for benefits is about 75% and adds its processing claims at its fastest rate.
There's a volume of pending claims that are still high.
Mike Stoddard of Wounded Warrior Project helps veterans file their claims.
There's still work to be done, but they are doing a good job with their timely processing and their highly approval rates.
Stoddard says the more detailed information a veteran can provide, the greater chance of success. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
The Biden administration says the VA has doled out about $5.7 billion in health benefits from the 1 million PACT Act claims that have been approved so far. Former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani was one of nearly a dozen people arraigned in an Arizona court in connection to an election subversion case. 18 people in total are charged with fraud, forgery, and conspiracy in that case. The attorney for the defendant says this is merely a case of free speech that's being criminalized by a Democratic attorney general. Still ahead, a push by federal authorities for airlines to increase the size of plane seats. And next in Health Watch, how some companies are filling a shortage of popular weight loss drugs. Topping today's Health Watch, ex-smokers who turn to e-cigarettes or vaping devices might be at a higher risk for lung cancer. New international research looks at more than 4 million people with a history of smoking. Former smokers who had quit for 5 years or more and used e-cigarettes were at a greater risk of lung cancer-related death than ex-smokers who hadn't used e-cigarettes. Those who had quit for less time and vaped had a higher risk of both lung cancer and dying from it. Some companies are responding to the shortage of massively popular weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy. One online pharmacy says it's going to offer its own version at a huge discount, even without FDA approval. Nancy Chen looks at how skyrocketing demand allowed this to happen and talks with an expert who says taking these versions might be risky.
Discover the Ozempic Tri-Zone.
Blockbuster weight loss brands Ozempic and Wegovy have a copycat. The drugs are in short supply, and now Hims & Hers is selling its own version of the GLP-1 drug used for both diabetes and suppressing appetite. And for significantly less, as low as $199 a month compared to nearly $1,000 for the branded versions, without insurance covering the drug. The new replicated versions are produced by compounding pharmacies, which the FDA allows for during shortages. Other digital health platforms like Ro are also offering their own compounded version of the popular drugs. However, these compounded or copied drugs haven't been directly evaluated by the FDA, and their formulas may differ from the approved versions.
We do not know what the side effects are. You're taking a drug that now nobody has really verified except the people who are making it and the people who are selling it.
Even without FDA approval, news of Hims & Hers' cheaper alternative sent its stock soaring Monday. The CDC says 42% of American adults have obesity, and while 1 in 8 Americans have used a GLP-1 medication, more than half of all adults who have taken it say it was difficult to afford the cost.
Even though there's a sense of urgency to improve your health, there's also an even higher bar, which is first, it has to be done safely.
Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
Hims & Hers Health says it's conducted, quote, extensive research for over a year with rigorous standards in place. And customers who want to start taking Hims & Hers version of the drug will need to have it prescribed by a doctor through the site. However, no video visit is required. Whether you count steps or minutes, it all adds up to a better longevity and a lower risk of cardiovascular disease. Researchers at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston found both metrics were equally beneficial for improving health outcomes, suggesting a time or step goal may not be as important as choosing a goal aligned with your personal preferences. That is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, some extreme turbulence turned deadly for one flight headed to Singapore.
Plus, we have severe weather rolling through the region. I'm going to give you all the details coming up next. Well, of course, we're dealing with strong to severe thunderstorms across the region. Once again, this has been a very active spring across the area, and we are seeing this once again for us today. Good news here is our severe threat is going to drop here in about 2.5 hours or so, and then we get a break for a couple days, but of course it returns by the time we head into Thursday night. So we get a couple days of a break. All right, high severe threat in the yellow here, or in the orange, wrong color. Southwestern parts of Missouri. In the yellow here, that's where your severe threat is going to drop off very quickly. But we do have a tornado watch in effect, and as this line pushes through, the western counties will drop off. So already we had tornado watches in effect in our western counties, but it's already dropped off. So I think by 7:30 or 8, it's 5:15, 7:30 or 8, the storms will be out of the region, and we don't have to deal with overnight severe weather tonight. Severe thunderstorm warning. So we're looking northeastern Vernon County all the way up in St. Clair County, and then Vernon County, southern Vernon County, Barton County over to Crawford County. And then we got this cluster, which is moving in to northeastern parts of Oklahoma. But you can see our storms, our clusters exploding and really pushing east pretty quickly. So if you live behind this line, you don't have any severe threat. You're done for tonight. Let's go ahead, and we have this severe thunderstorm actually near Pittsburgh. Let's go into this. I want to go to our storm tracker real quick because we have friends Wallace out there near Pittsburgh, so you can definitely see the ominous looking clouds as he's driving through Pittsburgh. But this storm has very large hail. Now the largest hail is going to stay north of Pittsburgh, but it will be much closer to Arma. But you can see very scary looking clouds, but we haven't seen anything rotate in the region as of yet. All right, let's go back to the radar. So looking at this cell, that pink right there, that is our hail core. So here's 69 Highway. So it's just northeast of Pittsburgh, pushing quickly into western parts of Barton County. So if you live near Liberal, you have that storm really intensifying and heading toward you. Also, a severe thunderstorm warning. This is just clipping northeastern parts of Vernon County, but I want to watch this back tail and see if it intensifies just a bit. So in line, you got El Dorado Springs. Let's drop south. Nevada, you are still in line. Lamar, you guys are next as well. Let's drop a little bit farther south. Not near as strong once you get into southern parts of Crawford County, but you can see this cell moving into western parts of Cherokee County. It's intensifying. So Columbus, you guys want to watch that. Here's Joplin, Carthage, Neosho, still about 30 to 45 minutes away, and then storms will start to push in. We want to watch this guy because he's strengthening northern parts of Craig County. He's going to push right into the north side of the metro, but this guy has been getting stronger over the past 15 minutes, and then heading back south toward Veneta, we got this cluster of storms also moving east, northeast, eventually getting into Ottawa County. But if you haven't had the storms yet, you are still in line. But of course, if they've already passed through back here, southeastern Kansas, you look pretty good. These are going to move very quickly through. Main threats, gusty winds, large hail, and a few of these could rotate. We haven't had any rotate here in our area as of yet, and hopefully we don't. All right, so these storms continue to drive through for the rest of the night. We clear out, looks good, so we don't have any overnight storms. And then tomorrow we get showers and thunderstorms midday, non-severe, no severe threat for us tomorrow. Those are gone, and then the rest of Wednesday looks pretty good. Heading into Thursday, here we go again. We get southerly winds back, thunderstorms develop to our west Thursday night and drive in, and that will be our next severe threat across the area. So Thursday we need to watch into Friday morning. Another severe threat late Saturday night. So we have two more threats this week outside of what we're seeing right now. But of course, again, we're streaming on the KOAM YouTube and the KOAM Plus app if you want to see the behind the scenes stuff of what we're doing. and severe threat sticks around for another 2.5 hours.
And it looks like there's a good chance you're going to be streaming some more in the days ahead.
Yeah, it looks
in the
like
weeks ahead. Doug, thanks. Coming up, why federal regulators want airlines to increase the size of seats on planes. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the FAA is under new pressure to look at the size and safety of airplane seats. Chris Van Cleve has been following this story for years and has this report.
There were 379 people on board Japan Airlines Flight 516 when it collided with another plane on a Tokyo runway in January. From the moment of impact, it was 18 minutes before everyone was off the Airbus A350. In theory, that evacuation should have been able to happen in 90 seconds.
What it really tells us is the current certification standards really are not applicable. They don't replicate how people get out of an airplane during an emergency.
Now lawmakers want to know if real-world conditions like crowded cabins and seat size slow evacuations. Airplane seat width is already down as much as 4 inches over the last 30 years to as little as 16 inches wide, and seat pitch, the distance between rows, has shrunk from about 35 inches to 31, and in some cases as little as 28 inches, allowing airlines to add more seats. Back in 2019, in a simulated cabin that can be filled with smoke and plunged into darkness, the FAA tested how close is too close when it comes to getting out of airline seats in an emergency. The volunteer passengers in the simulated evacuations had to deal with varying seat sizes, but they did not have to contend with real-life obstacles like smoke, the dark, or even luggage. And they were in groups of 60, nowhere near a full plane load. At the time, the FAA explained,
"We're going to try to minimize the variables to the ones that are important for this particular test."
The agency found seat size and spacing did not adversely affect the success of emergency evacuations. But because all the participants were able-bodied adults under 60, then FAA Administrator Steve Dixon acknowledged the results are useful but not necessarily definitive.
When you saw how they did this testing the first time, what went through your mind?
I was incredulous. Is this really what they did? I thought it was a joke.
Congress has now given the FAA 1 year to redo that testing. Senator Tammy Duckworth, who lost both legs while serving in Iraq, authored legislation requiring, this time, the FAA factor in how real-life conditions, including children, seniors, and the disabled, as well as the presence of carry-on bags, impacts evacuation times.
How confident are you that you could get out of the airplane in 90 seconds if you had to?
Oh, not at all confident. Not at all confident. I often fly where I'm not wearing both my artificial legs.
And it's an open question if that 90 seconds is even realistic anymore.
I don't think it's realistic anymore. Conduct a real test and let's see what the realistic standard is.
Senator Duckworth stresses the legislation's focus is safety, not necessarily the more subjective category of comfort. The FAA says, in part, we look forward to implementing all provisions of the recently passed FAA reauthorization bill, including how to include all perspectives of the flying public as we continue to ensure planes can be evacuated safely. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Reagan National Airport, Virginia.
One man is dead. Dozens are hospitalized after a Singapore Airlines flight encountered severe turbulence over the Indian Ocean while cruising at 37,000 feet. The Boeing 777 flight from London's Heathrow Airport to Singapore carried 211 passengers and 18 crew members when that turbulence hit. Final check of the stormy weather up next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, the danger facing firefighters other than smoke and flames. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on efforts to repair the elevator at Pittsburgh Stillwell Apartments, plus a historic steam train rolls through the 4 states. Stay with us. CBS Evening News, KOAM News at 6. Now let's check back with Doug.
All right, we still have severe thunderstorm warning. So this is in western parts of Barton County at this point in time. We should have we're running down 14 seconds, but severe thunderstorm warning, western parts of Barton County. More thunderstorms rolling into the metro. So we're streaming on the KOAM YouTube page and the KOAM Plus app. And of course, we'll have more on KOAM News at 6.
We're going to leave you with a look at the storm tracker live from 160 near the Missouri line. They're going east. Let's make it a great evening.